Welcome to Cheat Code Nutrition, the podcast where science meets strategy to help you decode your body and unlock next level health. I'm your host, Ellie Young, functional nutrition practitioner and genetic testing nerd, here to guide you through the real root causes of fatigue, stubborn weight, hormonal chaos, and mystery symptoms the traditional system shrugs off. Whether you're optimizing for longevity, performance, or just want to feel like yourself again, you're in the right place. Around here, we don't guess, we test. We use functional lab work, genetic nutrition, and a no BS approach to precision wellness that works with your body, not against it. If you're ready to ditch the one size fits all protocols and start working with your actual blueprint, this is your cheat code. Let's get into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cheat Code Nutrition. I hope you're having an awesome summer. We are just getting ready to go back to school here, and I'm feeling that panic that a lot of parents feel at the end of summer, like this guilt, like, we didn't do enough. I should have done more with my kids. So I'm in that mode right now where I'm trying to cram in some last minute fun stuff and also still work. I am actually excited to be able to have a little more clear brain so I can get back to focusing on topics such as this. And this one is really interesting to me, guys, because we are at a really interesting point in medicine with the turn of AI, with everything that's going on in that world right now. Things are happening very, very quickly. So today's podcast is titled Three Power Moves to Take Charge of Your Health in the Age of AI. What I'm basically doing and what I'm not doing anymore when it comes to the healthcare industry, right? So, quick personal story. If you've been following me for a long time, you know I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's back in October of 2024. And I was definitely let down by the traditional healthcare system. It's a story you're all pretty familiar with, right? I'm sure you've all know people or you've experienced it yourself. I'd been going to the doctor for years for my annual labs and everything looks normal, but I've kind of slowly been gaining weight. I would ask some standard questions about mental health and perimenopause and kind of been like, well, everything looks normal, so you're fine, right? But things weren't fine. I definitely felt um, challenged that I was doing everything right, but yet I couldn't really get great results. Like I was crazy healthy with my nutrition and my exercise, but I was just slowly gaining weight and definitely feeling the perimenopause like hit of things changing. And finally, when I went to the naturopath, I thought, oh, this is going to be it. This is going to be so much different. I'm going to get all this attention and all this extra help and all these extra labs. I actually didn't really understand a thing about labs. Um, but honestly, after I paid what was it? 365, 385. I wrote it all down here for you guys because I really want the reason I'm doing this is because my brain wants my experience and my kind of passion for understanding this kind of stuff because I love efficiency. I want to know the best, most efficient, most effective way to go about your healthcare so that you're not spinning your wheels, you're not losing faith, you're not losing trust in the system because it's failed you. And it's like, oh, how many more appointments do I have to make? How many more lab visits? And then at the end of the day, you're left with all this data and maybe no education and no, inspiration for how do you make these changes in your life. That was basically what I found after spending, and I totaled it all up here. $800, just over $800 in labs. And the first doctor's visit was $385. So that is what? Almost 11, over 1100, almost $1,200. All I was left with was literally a diagnosis of Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism. So my thyroid was slowing down. That was the weight gain. That was a lot of the symptoms I was experiencing that I was totally confusing with perimenopause, and a prescription for thyroid medication. And she told me, don't eat gluten and try not to eat dairy. And I was just like, oh, okay. So no root cause, no like, why did this happen? How did this happen? Is there other things I can look at? Or it's just like, I'm going to be on medication for the rest of my life and it may or may not help. And I really, really felt this huge void of any sort of, um, route to, like, root cause, trying to figure out how did this develop? Why? She was like, "Oh, it can be hereditary," and that was it. It's like, "Okay, so but my mom is unaware. She probably does have it. She's has thyroid issues, but she's never understood what Hashimoto's is or been diagnosed as Hashimoto's, but I bet she has it." Um so it's just like, this is so frustrating, right? Like, here I am, a highly motivated patient, highly educated patient as far as health stuff goes, and I was left totally dumbfounded with what to do, where to go, no resources, and this was from a naturopath. Again, I'm sure there's amazing naturopaths out there, mine just wasn't the best, and I this really is what spurred me to go back to school to become an integrative and functional nutrition practitioner, because I was like, I want to know a better way to manage my own health. I don't want to have to wait for super expensive appointments and then pay for these labs. So basically it feels like the doctor is this barrier to entry to get access to the tests, right? You have to go and get this expensive appointment. You list out all your symptoms to them, and then they order a bunch of labs. And you can't get these labs. It feels like that's the gateway, right? Well, I'll order these labs for you. And then you got to make another appointment for them to come back and review your labs. And this whole process could take like a month. So you are for a month not knowing, don't have any direction. And to me, that's no. Hey, when I'm motivated to take action and work on something, I want to know right away what I can start doing right away. Ebb Motivation ebbs and flows, and this is that moment when you gotta strike hot, when you're like, "Okay, I'm fed up, I wanna do something about this," right? So, the my this whole podcast is basically, I through my experience, through my education now, I wanna help streamline the most effective things you should be doing with all of the stuff that is so accessible now, all of the tests, all of the wearables, all of the AI things that you can use to help you manage your own health. That's what I want to do for you, okay? Because the big question is, what if the future of medicine isn't about waiting for a diagnosis, but actively preventing one, right? That is what functional medicine is. It's getting to the root cause so that we're not just treating symptoms, we're actually preventing it. We're actually getting to the source of it so we can stop it at the very, very beginning, right? And what the cool thing that now that AI is making possible is that we can gather all of this data we have on ourselves, analyze it, and act on our own health data faster and more precisely than ever. And so by the end of this episode, I want you to know 3 things that I'm doing to take charge of my health in the age of AI, and 3 things I'm not doing anymore, so that you can take this information and hopefully run with it and feel more confident and empowered in choosing things to manage your own health with, okay? So, the future of medicine and AI is here. It is transforming the healthcare by doing predictive analytics, personalized medicine, faster diagnosis. So basically, a lot of the lab companies already are using algorithms to monitor your data. Basically, if you fall out of range, it's spitting out a standard response. Oh, you have high cholesterol. Here's what you should do for high cholesterol. Oh, you have this high reading. You should stop eating this. But it's very generic. It is not taking into account your genes, your microbiome, your lifestyle, your family history. We're expecting our doctor to already have gathered all that information for us and then to be using our lab data and like be kind of keeping tabs on us in the moment. Like, what's going on with you right now? What are your stress levels like? What's going on in your gut right now? And unless he has like super real live data on you, it's they are just going through the motions, and they're like, okay, nothing's out of range. Boom, you're fine. Here's your prescriptions if you aren't fine, if you're falling out of range. Because doctors can't know everything about you. I don't blame doctors. I blame the system. It's broken. There is too much data. There is too many nuances in our own health. The new model is You become the CEO of your own health. Nobody knows your body, your experience, your lifestyle, what you're going through better than you, your diet, your exercise habits, your stress levels. And so you have to be okay right now with saying, I want to get this information for myself. I want to educate myself so that I can take action. We are asking too much of the old healthcare system to say, hey, tell me what to do and motivate me and change my behavior and have it not cost a lot and take up too much of my time, right? It's just, it doesn't exist. It's impossible. So here are the three things that I'm doing now in my experience and that I have found to be the most affordable, the most effective, the most efficient. The first one is direct to consumer labs. The best company that I have found for this is Function Health. There are others out there, but this one is, I think, the most cost effective. You can track your progress without waiting weeks for appointments. What's super cool is I actually just did this. It's $500 annually, and you get 2 rounds of testing. So basically, if you want to do it 6 months apart, if you're tracking something more closely, you can do it 3 months apart. But it's actually two within the one set of labs. The It is actually, you go to the lab twice because they are analyzing so many different biomarkers. They need to pull a ton of blood, and they have to split it up into 2 appointments so that they can take the blood in 2 pulls because it would be too much all at once. They took 10 vials from me on my first appointment, and I go back again on Friday this week to do another. I don't know how many they're going to do this time, but what's super cool is the results started coming in the very next day through an app they have. So right away, I don't have to wait another month. I don't have to wait to see my doctor to review the results. I also don't have to wait 2 weeks. I don't know, how long does it normally take? I think it's sometimes my doctor hasn't ever even called me because they're like, oh, your labs were normal, so I don't need to call you about anything. And we're just like trusting that. We're like, cool, I'm not even going to look at this information. I'm not even going to like, how often have you actually ever looked at your lab data? Like I didn't until this year. This year, 44 years old. Yeah, I'm 44. That's when I actually started looking at my labs. Other than a high cholesterol thing that I've been having for years, and I was told it was just genetic, it's in my health, it's in my genes, and I can't do much about it because I already didn't eat what people traditionally thought were high cholesterol foods like eggs or red meat. I was like, I already eat like vegetable. I just thought, oh, this is just my curse. It runs in my family. By the way, my cholesterol has gone down for the first time since I've been having high cholesterol, which started in my late 20s, if you can believe it. Um, and my cholesterol is now finally going down low where I'm now like barely, barely, barely high. I'm just a smidge on the border of being a high, which I'm so stoked about. And it came from all of the data that I have now been managing myself and making moves on myself, educating myself. Okay. So this is really a cool program. There is cost transparency. I just went into my insurance platform on Aetna. We have a PPO through my husband's work. It's supposed to be great insurance, right? We have a $3,600 deductible, which we haven't even met yet, and it's now August, right? So I have been paying out of pocket for my naturopath visits, which all together, again, she's out of network because I guess all naturopaths are. They bill your insurance so that you get credit for that out of pocket payment. But I have spent, get this, $1,270 just on my doctor's visits to this naturopath that have been over Zoom. Some of the appointments were 30 minutes. The very first appointment was not even an hour. Some of the appointments have been 30 minutes. Some of them have been 15 minutes. And I've got absolutely zero out of it, other than her maybe reading a lab back to me, or sometimes I'm required to have the appointment just for her to refill my thyroid medication, which I don't think my thyroid medication is doing squat for me, by the way. Okay. So over $1,200 in doctor's visits, over $800 in labs. That's over $2,000 to have zero results as far as I'm concerned, other than like, I learned that I have Hashimoto's. I learned that I have a thyroid issue. Okay. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to to still be left, like, flustered for someone like me who's highly motivated and like, "Tell me what to do. I wanna know. Teach me. Why can't I solve this?" Like, and so what I ended up doing is going out to these doctors. I mean, not doctors. I ended up finding nutritionists that I liked. One that specialized in Hashimoto's. I paid her $1,000 to go through a course on Hashimoto's. Guess how valuable that was? So valuable. That was an amazing course for me. I learned a ton. That money was worth it. I also used my HSA dollars to pay for that. Then I went and did a gut panel, a GI map. I pooped in a cup for science for $600 through another nutritionist that I love. And I didn't actually take her course. Um, her one-on-one after I got my results back. It came with a 15-minute analysis, video analysis where she walked me through my results for 15 minutes. It wasn't like an engaging with me where I could ask questions. It was her recording herself going over my results. And while I really, really like this provider, she wanted another $800 to do one-on-one work for my lab results. And I just was unwilling to pay that at the time because I'm learning so much in my own practice now that I'm like, I can handle my own gut panel and what I should do to treat myself. So I did not opt to pay that. So that was an additional $1,600 in separate, specialized providers and labs that I definitely would pay for again. So that was worth it, okay? So what I'm trying to get at for you guys is through my experience is like, what tests are really worth it to do annually for yourself? And what can you do with that data on your own? And what do you need a specialist to actually help you analyze this and make recommendations? Because here's what AI is changing. You do not need to pay for someone to read you information back to you, right? Labs that spit out a response and the doctor's just going to echo that response and then prescribe something to you, you don't need to pay for something for that. 9 times out of 10, you do not need a pharmaceutical. You just need to shift what you're putting in your mouth. You need to reduce your toxins. You need to move your body. You need to change your sleep habits, your stress levels. It is not coming from a pill. 9 times out of 10, it's not. Granted, of course, there are some situations that do require antibiotics if you have a gnarly infection. But guess what? I fixed my gut. It dys dys what a dystopia dysbiosis. There we go, um, which is normally treated with antibiotics, H. pylori and Candida. I did it with just antimicrobials, things like oil of oregano, mastic gum, and oil of garlic oil, a bunch of other things. There was a whole protocol that I developed and followed myself. And guess what? When I healed my gut is when my thyroid antibodies went down the first time they've gone down in the last gosh, it's almost been 9 months, and I've tested them like 3 times trying to figure out if what I was doing was working. Nothing worked until I did the gut healing protocol. Wow, okay. So, game changers for me, things just start clicking into place. I'm like, "Okay, this is empowerment. This is an empowerment factor. No more, you're high, you're low, you're normal without explanation. You're going to get all the data yourself, and then you're going to seek out an expert who has experience transforming these types of things. All right, so the number 2 thing I recommend doing, and of course, you know what I'm going to say here, genetic testing. Again, this is a one-time cost. You're going to get your unique health blueprint. It's going to reveal to you what you are vulnerable to and where you're strong. This is really going to help you prioritize what health strategies are the most important for you. Do not need to chase 20 different supplement routines and diet protocols and workout protocols. Your genes are going to go whoop. This is what your body's really good at. This is where you need a little help. How do we support that? How do you prioritize that? It basically makes every effort you're doing, it just fine tunes it. And here's a really good example of how this becomes so much more crystal clear for me. So I'm over 40 every year. I've been getting a mammogram. Why? not because I have a breast cancer risk or breast cancer in my family. I don't have the BRCA gene, which a lot of people get tested for. But now that I know my full genome, I know that I actually not only do I not have breast cancer genes, I don't have a lot of cancer-causing genes. And so I am not high risk for breast cancer. I don't fall in, at least statistically, right? I also, my lifestyle is really rather toxin free. So why am I getting a mammogram every single year on routine? And guess what? It was 100% covered by my insurance. So I'm like, I'm just blindly like, oh, you turn 40, you go get a mammogram, right? And there's even cancer screening tests for other people that at 50, you're just supposed to start getting cancer screening tests, right? But it's almost a waste. It's like, unless you have these genes and unless you have a family history and unless you have a lifestyle, you don't actually need to be screening unnecessarily. And a lot of times there's these weird false positives and they chase you down rabbit holes. Have any of you had that, a bad breast cancer scare? I totally did when I first started getting my mammogram. I had a weird blip. They wanted to take a biopsy. They wanted to do follow-up ultrasounds and put me through the ringer. It sucked emotionally, physically. And guess what? Benign, absolutely nothing. Just I have dense breast tissue, but that wasn't a fun experience. That was so stressful on me and my family, and it was like, for what? For nothing, right? Like, totally just chasing a rabbit. But here is what I would love to be covered. So within my gene report, I have an Alzheimer's gene. It runs in my family. In fact, my aunt, who's in her 80s now, was just she's now showing the signs of it. My grandfather passed away of it. I have the gene. Okay, I have family history. And so this is something that I want to be paying attention to. This is something I want to screen for. This is something I want to test for. And turns out they have this amazing test now called the p-tau test. It's actually offered as an add-on at Function Health, and it can detect the early signs of Alzheimer's 20 years before you will actually start experiencing some symptoms through these kind of proteins that kind of get gunked up in your brain. So that's the kind of test I want. It's $800 out of pocket. And while that seems expensive, I don't need to start doing it probably until my like mid 50s, I would guess, is when I'm going to start adding that test on. And I'll probably do it annually just to be like, hey, is this coming for me? But guess what? If it is, you then have 20 years of preventative healthcare strategies to stave it off, to make to like have it not happen. That is what epigenetics is. You can change how these genes respond. You can downregulate them, you can upregulate them based on what you are putting in your body and your lifestyle, your sleep habits, your exercise. That is incredible. That's incredible. So that is where it's helping me focus my money, my time, and my effort where it matters. That's what a genetic report is. It is your health GPS. Combine that with your current labs, and then you're going to get the clearest roadmap. So those are two things I am doing. Genetic testing you only need to do once, but the Function Health membership, that's an annual fee of $500. So I'm going to add it up for you here at the end. The genetic test is $299. Now that does not include the coaching, which I think is absolutely necessary to get you started, to help you understand your data, understand your genes, and how to fine tune and focus your approach. So that is the third part, working with an expert who sees the whole picture, someone who can help you combine your data plus your genes, give you education on how these systems actually work in your body. So it's not like traditional healthcare where we're just isolating like this one symptom and trying to fix it, or this one, system in your body. Oh, we got to work on your digestion. It all works together. It's all tied together. Your mental health, your digestion, your cardiometabolic, your musculature system. They are all intertwined. And so that is where the coaching comes in. It's not just education, it's also motivation, because it can be so overwhelming to learn these things about ourselves. But if you have your unique roadmap and you go, ooh, this is what's really, really important for me and my body, and I can help motivate you to make the behavior changes necessary. Because don't get me wrong, I am a mom, I am busy, it's summer. I can't cook perfectly every day for my kids. I can't even do the shopping every day perfectly for my kids. I run out of groceries all the time. My kitchen's a disaster. Trying to be an integrative and functional nutrition and live it and walk the walk, not just talk the talk, because I talk the talk on Instagram, but to actually walk the walk means my kitchen is a shit show all the time. It is a disaster. And I just am like, but this is what it means to try and feed your family healthy food is you gotta be cooking all the time. You gotta be making stuff. You gotta be meal prepping. I still haven't got it down to a science that like is flowing and working really efficiently. And I just really want to get efficient at this stuff. I want it to not be messy. I want it to have it all planned out and be healthy. And then at the end of the day, you know what they do? I don't want that. That looks gross. Whatever. The kids, it's like I'm so frustrated with them because I'm like, do you know, like professional athletes would hire someone like me to cook for them, to fuel them perfectly for their workouts. And then I have a sauna and I have a cold plunge and I want my kids to use all these things and to like be amazing. And they're just like, man, I don't want. I want to play video games. So obviously you get it. You understand what I'm dealing with. It's like, so just know that I am struggling to do all these things that I teach you at the same. I get how frustrating it is. I get how time consuming it is. And you're tired and you're stressed out and you're like, the last thing I want to do is cook a meal right now. So that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help you, motivate you to try to make these things easier because I know where the roadblocks are. I know how hard it is to focus on your gut health, to focus on nutrient deficiencies, to focus on tweaking your lifestyle. But these breakthroughs can happen one by one, and you just start stacking your experience on top of another, and eventually you just get better and better and better. And you feel confident because you know this is actually what's right for my body. So you don't get distracted by all these other systems and methods online, all these crazy supplements. You know exactly what's going to work for you. So here are a couple things that I am not doing anymore. I am not paying for an appointment just for someone to order me labs, right? I am also not paying for someone to read my lab results to me without deeper insight into my whole health picture. I would like to say that I went through a whole health picture with my naturopath. Not only did I fill out this lengthy form with her in advance, she then went over the lengthy form with me over the phone and asked all these questions. And like very little has connected anything that I explained to her to my like she didn't connect any dots for me. I've only connected them myself. Okay. I digress again. All right, here's the other thing. No more unnecessary screenings. If my genes, family history, and lifestyle don't warrant them, I'm not going to go waste time doing that just because like, oh, this is what we do. I'm told you're 40, you got to do this test, right? I'd rather save my money for this p-tau test later that actually changes my prevention strategy, right? So my health ownership, this is how I'm taking ownership of my health and I'm trying to make it cost effective. Remember, I spent over $2,000 last year without any results with the naturopath, with the labs. That wasn't even including medications. I haven't even chalked that up. Now, here's what it is. The genetic test is $299, a one-time fee. But you won't have to pay that. So for me, moving forward, I'm paying my Function Health annual lab membership, which for me, I got it on sale at $365. It's normally $500, but maybe just watch and wait and hopefully it'll go on sale again for $365. But $500 is still a smoking deal. In fact, I would love my clients that come to work with me. Bring me your labs if you already have them. And then if you're willing, sign up for Function Health and bring me those labs too. I also recommend an annual GI map. Check what's going on in your gut annually, once a year. This is a $600 test. Um, and that, you know what's crazy about my gut panel is I did that not thinking I had any issues. I was like, I don't have any issues. I have no problems with that. And it came back with crazy things going on that I had no idea. And guess what? When I treated those things, that's when my Hashimoto's antibodies went down. That's when my cholesterol went down. What the heck? It all started in the gut. So that all in, let's see, what is that? What is that for me now? So I'm going to do the function. Let's just say for you, you're doing function at 500. You're doing this genetic test at 299, and you're doing a GI map. Actually, the only two that I'm going to be doing annually is the 299. Whoops, no, that's not it. I'm doing the function health at 500 and the GI map at 600. That's $1,100 annually that I'm for sure going to pay on testing moving forward. Those are the things that I'm doing. That is considerable savings, and it's much more proactive health. And then the remainder of that money, I want to spend it on meeting with specialists and finding out like, hey, do I need something else to work on? Because if I do now I know what to do. That's the other thing. When you work with a specialist and you get experience on treating your gut, then you know how to treat it. You're like, oh, okay, I know what's going to work for me. I know how to fix these things. So you don't need to do this ongoing repeat cyclical payment with no, just because this is what I do. I meet with my doctor once a year and I pay for these labs and then I pay for these prescriptions and I really don't get better, right? I want to help you get better. A lot of people in the functional health world are there because they have had frustrating paths in the medical field. They have had unanswered questions. They've had, pain, suffering, problems for a long time with no answers until they finally took matters into their own hands and started doing functional labs and started finding solutions because you're getting to the root cause. You're not just treating symptoms. It is a game changer. So I hope this podcast helped you and you can share it with somebody else who might be going through this situation. But those are the things that I truly, this is the era where you can take charge of your health, right? Get your own labs, monitor your own progress, get a gut panel because everything is starting in the gut. I'm even going to order them for my kids because so much of the mental health stuff, my son has ADHD, is starting in the gut. And I can tell he has weird cravings for things. He has weird farts all the time. He has stomach issues sometimes. And I'm like, it's all something's going on in there. That's where all your dopamine is, which ADHD is a dopamine deficient issue. He struggles with mood. And I'm like, that's where all your serotonin. So something's up with his gut. Despite me trying to do all sorts of healthy things for him, if you have some imbalance in there and you don't treat it, it's kind of stopping all of your other efforts. So that's a whole nother conversation, the gut health stuff. But the future of medicine is proactive, it is personalized, and it's powered by data and AI, but only if you take ownership. Now, I don't recommend doing a bunch of testing and then just putting all your data into AI and having it spit out things. I have seen people do this. AI is only as good as the questions you're asking it and the prompts you're asking it, and it does not have the nuance of all of the things you need to be looking at and connecting the dots, okay? It can steer you in the wrong way. And so just be very, very, very careful with that. And of course, the old model that we were using, it's waiting for you to get sick. This new model, it prevents it. If you want to start, here is your next step. Get your genetic testing done. Start tracking your labs regularly, annually on your own, and find the right expert to guide and empower you. And you know what I'm here for. If you're ready to uncover your genetic blueprint and get personalized coaching on your health data, this is what I live for. I am such a geek. I am loving looking at labs and the genetic reports and helping you craft a personalized strategy. I have an opening for 2 new clients this month. Let's create your health game plan together. Let's see here. Go to my website, mycheatcodenutrition.com, and check out my genetic testing and nutrition coaching. And as always, I am with you. You got this. Thanks for tuning in to Cheat Code Nutrition. If today's episode sparked some curiosity about what your genes are trying to tell you, grab my free guide, 5 Genes You Should Know to Optimize Your Health. It's linked for you in the show notes. And if you're ready to skip the guesswork and start working with your actual blueprint, check out my genetic nutrition coaching offer, also linked in the show notes. Your next level of health might just be one test away. Until next time, stay curious, stay nourished, and don't forget your body's not broken. It just speaks a different language. Let's learn to speak it fluently.